how are we going to add these two radical expressions? Find out in this video. Good day, learners! Today we're going to talk about the operations on radical expression. So we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. First up, adding and subtracting radicals. So we can only add or subtract radicals if and only if they have the same radicand and indices. So let us determine now if the given radicals are like or unlike. Suppose we have square root of 5 and cube root of 5. Yes, they have the same radicand, but they do not have the same indices. Square root of 5, the index is 2, while cube root of 5, the index is 3. Therefore, these radicals are alike radicals. Now, how about 2 square root of 3 and negative 6 square root of 3? So, they have the same radicand, which is 3, and they have the same index, which is 2. So, we can consider them as like radicals. Now, how about 4x square root of 2y and negative 9x square root of 2y? So, as you can see, they have the same radicand, which is 2y, and they have also the same index, which is 2. Therefore, we can consider them as like radicals. And lastly, how about cube root of 12x and square root of 12x? So, they have the same radicand. However, they don't have the same indices. First one, the index is 3, while the other one has an index of 2. Therefore, we are going to consider them as unlike radicals. Now, let's try adding and subtracting radicals. At para mas lalo nating maintindihan, I have here some examples. So, we're going to add or subtract the radicals or the given radicals. Example number 1, we have the square root of 7 plus 12, square root of 7 minus 4 square root of 7. So again, yung rule lang natin sa addition or adding and subtracting radicals is that dapat magkaparehas sila ng radicand and at the same time, dapat magkaparehas din sila ng indices. Okay? So kung mapapansin natin sa number 1, parehas yung radicand nila which is 7. And at the same time, parehas din yung mga indices nila which is 2. Okay? Kasi square root yung given natin, therefore yung index niya would be equal to 2. So makikita again natin yung index dito. But then again, pag square root na yung given, hindi na natin nilalagay yung 2. So what we're going to do now is simply copy yung common na radicand natin. So we will have square root of 7. Then we're going to perform yung operation sa mga numerical coefficients natin. So you have negative 4, positive 12, at dito naman automatic may positive 1 siya. So, hindi na natin sinusulat yung positive 1 dito sa labas ng square root of 7. So, it will be positive 1 plus 12, that would be equal to positive 13. 13 minus 4, that would be equal to positive 9. And, titignan natin kung pwede pa natin masimplify. At pag hindi na natin pwede masimplify, then, this would be our final answer. 9 square root of 7. Example number 2. We have negative 6 square root of 3. Plus 14 square root of 3 minus 2 square root of 3. Again, magkaparehas yung radicand nila na 3 and at the same time, magkaparehas din yung indices nila which is 2. So, pwede natin silang i-combine as one radical. So, pwede na natin unahin isulat muna yung similar na radical nila na part. Then, we're going to perform the operation dun sa mga numerical coefficients natin. So we have negative 6 plus 14, that would be equal to positive 8. Positive 8 minus 2, that would be equal to positive 6. Therefore, our answer is 6 square root of 3. Next problem, we have the square root of 8 plus the square root of 18 minus the square root of 32. So sa first glance pa lang natin, sasabihin natin na hindi natin siya pwedeng makombine yung mga radicals. Kasi nga, hindi magkakaparehas yung mga radicand nila. Yung isa 8, yung isa 18, yung isa naman 32. But then again, we have the laws of radicals na pwede natin masimplify yung mga radicands natin into a product of two factors. So pwede natin kunin yung factors ng bawat radicals natin, then titignan natin kung pwede ba natin ma-extract yung perfect squares nila. So let's have square root of 8. So we can get now the factors of 8. So the factors of 8 are 4 and 2. Okay? So again, yung nth root ng isang given number is also the nth root of the product of its factors. So as we all know, we make sure na yung isang factor is a perfect square para pwede natin siyang ma-extract later on. Last, how about 18? Ano yung mga factors ni 18? We have 9 and 2. So 9 times 2. Pwedeng 6 times 3, kaso nga lang sa 6 times 3, walang perfect square sa dalawang factors. So we make sure na isa sa kanila would be the greatest perfect square. So we will have 9 times 2. And lastly, we have negative square root of 32. The factors are 16 times 2. So yung mga perfect squares natin, we have 9, we have 4, 9, and 16. So i-extract lang natin sila. Square root of 4 is 2. So matitira yung 2 sa loob. Then we have plus. Then we have square root of 9 which is 3. So matitira sa radical sign na sa loob si 2. Then negative square root of 16 is 4. Then square root of 2. Now as you can see, parehas na yung mga radicands nila which is equal to 2. Therefore, pwede na natin silang ma-combine as one radical. So, kokopyahin lang natin yung same nila na radical. Then we have 2 plus 3, that is 5. 5 minus 4, that is equal to positive 1. So there's no need na isulat pa yung 1 dito. Automatic, pag wala nakalagay na numerical coefficient, the numerical coefficient is already equal to 1. Therefore, our final answer is square root of 2. Now, how about number 4? So same lang sila ng case ng number 3. Titingnan natin kung pwede pa nating kunan ng mga factors yung given na mga radical expressions natin. Let's have 98. Ano kaya yung factors ni 98? We have 49 times 2. Okay? Plus, yung square root of 50 naman, we have 25 times 2. And lastly, yung square root of 72, we have 36 times 2. Okay? Extract natin yung mga perfect squares. So, square root of 49 is 7. Matitira si 2 sa loob ng radical sign. Square root of 25 is 5. And square root of 36 is 6. So, as you can see, parehas na sila ng radical, which is equal to 2. So, we can combine the radical expressions. So we have 7 plus 5, that is equal to positive 12. Positive 12 minus 6, that is equal to positive 6. So positive 6, then copy lang yung common na radical nila. So we have 6 square root of 2. Now how about the last example? We have the square root of 20x cubed y plus the square root of 45x cubed y. Okay. So same lang sa ginawa natin sa number 3 and number 4, hahanap tayo ng factors. So, uunahin muna natin yung factors ng numerical coefficient. 20. So, sa 20, we have 4 and 5. Nilagay ko ng space kasi after ng numerical coefficient, yung mga variables naman yung hahanapan natin ng factors. So, x cubed. Ano yung dalawang factors na x cubed? Now, we see to it na yung isang factor niya has the greatest even na exponent. So, it will become x squared, right? Then, sa kabila would be x. Okay. So, in-extract lang. So, pinactor out lang natin yung x cubed, kaya naging x squared at saka x. So, dito banda, dito natin nilagay yung mga perfect squares. At dito naman sa kabilang banda, nilagay natin yung hindi perfect squares. After that one, we still have the variable y. So, yung variable y, 1 na yung exponent niya, hindi na natin siya pwedeng kunan pa ng factors. So, ilalagay natin dito si y, kasama ni 5x. Plus, okay, dito naman tayo sa pangalawang radical expression. We have 45x cubed y. So, sa 45, we have 9 times 5. Right? And x cubed, again, we have x squared and x. And since y lang na yung natira, so we have here, we're going to write it here, y. Okay? Kasi nga si y is not a perfect square. Then we're going to extract yung mga perfect square. So square root of 4 is 2. Square root of x squared is x. So bakit naging x? Again, if we're going to get the square root of a particular variable with an exponent, all you need to do is to divide the exponent by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. Kaya x raised to 1 or x na lang yung square root niya. Then, matitira sa loob ng radical sign is 5xy. Plus, square root of 9 is 3. Square root of x squared is x. Then, matitira again si 5xy. So, mapapansin natin same na sila ng radical. Therefore, we can combine the two radicals. So, we have 2x plus 3x. 2x plus 3x is equal to 5x. Then, we're going to affix yung same nila na radical, which is square root of 5xy. And this would be our final answer. Now, how about multiplication of radicals? So, we have here three conditions. Number 1, multiply radicals directly if their indices are the same. Number 2, when the indices are different but the radicands are the same, we're going to transform the radical to fractional exponents. Then, we're going to apply the laws of exponents or the product rule, in which it states that if we're going to multiply expressions with the same base, all we need to do is to copy the same base, then add the exponents. In symbols, we have x raised to m times x raised to n is equal to x raised to the power of m plus n. Then finally, simplify if necessary. And the last condition, when the indices and at the same time the radicands are different, we are going to transform the radical to fractional exponents. And at the same time, change the fractional exponents into similar fractions. Apply the laws of exponents, which is the product rule. Now, since they have the same denominator, then we can transform it back to radical expressions. And finally, simplify if necessary. Now, we have here some examples. So, 4 square root of 10 times 3 square root of 2. So, we don't actually focus on the radical. So, titignan lang natin kung same ba sila ng indices. So, same sila ng index. Dito is square root. Therefore, ang index niya ay 2. Ito naman ay square root. Therefore, yung index din niya ay equal to 2. So, pag same sila ng indices, all we need to do is to multiply directly. The numerical coefficient times the numerical coefficient at yung radical times the radical. Then, afterwards, we're going to simplify if pwede pa natin masimplify. So, 4 times 3, that would be equal to 12. Then, square root of 10 times 2, that would be equal to 20. So, if we're going to look at it, pwede pa natin masimplify si square root of 20. May factor siya na 4 and 5, in which yung isang factor niya is a perfect square. So, we will have 12 times the square root of 4 times 5, right? Then, i-extract natin si 4 kasi nga perfect square siya. Ilalabas natin. So, it will become 12 times square root of 4 is 2. Then, square root of 5. Yung matitira. And finally, the answer is 12 times 2. That will be 24. So, 24 square root of 5. So, pasensya. Konti na lang yung space. So, this would be our final answer. 24 square root of 5. Next, we have the quantity of 2 square root of 12b times the quantity of 3 square root of 2b. So, same na sila sa number 1. Magkaparehas yung indices nila, which is equal to 2. So, again, we're going to multiply directly. 2 times 3 is 6. Then, 12b times 2b, that would be equal to 24b squared. Okay, titignan natin ngayon kung pwede pa nating ma-extract yung factors ni 24. So, ano kaya yung mga factors ni 24? We have 4 times 6. So, 6 is equal 6 square root of 4 b squared times 6. So, nilapit ko si b squared kay 4 kasi nga pareha silang perfect square. Then, solve natin, we have 6 square root of 4 is 2. So, that would be 6 times 2 then square root of b squared is b. So, matitira na lang sa loob ng radical sign is si 6. Then, simplify natin itong numerical coefficient sa labas. So, we have the final answer which is 12b square root of 6. And for our third example, we have 5 square root of x times 7 square root of 2x times 6 or times square root of 6x. So again, same pa rin sila ng indices na 2. Therefore, we can multiply directly. So 5 times 7 times 1. So we will have 35 square root of x times 2x, that would be 2x squared. 2x squared times 6x, that would be 12x cubed, right? So gaya ng ginawa natin sa number 1 and 2, pwede pa natin masimplify si 12x cubed. So, kukunin natin yung product ng mga factors niya. So, we have 4 times 3, dun sa numerical coefficient na 12. At sa x cubed naman, yung factors niya would be x squared and x. Okay? Extract natin yung perfect squares. So, we have 35 times square root of 4 is 2. Square root of x squared is x. So we have 2x square root of 3x. Finally, our answer is 70x square root of 3x. Next example, we have the square root of 5 times the cube root of 5. So kung mapapansin natin, although parehas sila ng radical na 5, hindi sila parehas ng index. Yung isa is ang index niya ay 3, yung isa naman ang index niya ay 2. So, if we encounter this type of problems, all we need to do is to transform yung radical expressions natin into an expression with rational exponents. So, when we say square root of 5, it means 5 raised to the power of 1/2. Okay? Again, yung numerator is yung exponent ng radical natin, which is 1, although hindi nakasulat. At yung denominator naman is yung index dito na 2. Okay, kaya naging 5 raised to 1/2 times 5 raised to, how about cube root of 3? So yung exponent is 1, kaya 1 yung numerator. 3 yung index, kaya ang denominator niya becomes 3. Okay? Then using the laws of exponents, using the product rule, kasi nga same sila ng base, all we need to do is to copy the base, then add the exponents. So 1/2 plus 1/3. Then, since dissimilar fractions yung dalawa, kukunin natin yung LCD nila. So, ang LCD ng 2 at 3 ay equal to 6. So, 6 divided by 2 is 3 times 1, we will have 3 here. Plus, 6 divided by 3 is 2 times 1 is equal to 2. So, we have 5 raised to the power of 5, 6. So 5 raised to the power of 5 over 6. Now, this is not yet the final answer. Kailangan pa natin siyang ibalik dun sa radical expression. So we will have the 6th root of 5 raised to 5. Again, yung numerator is yung exponent ng radical at yung denominator naman is yung index. And finally, simplify natin yung 5 raised to 5. So 5 raised to 5, that would be equal to 3,125. And this would be our final answer. And for our last example, we have cube root of 5 times 4 times 4th root of 4. So kung mapapansin natin, hindi sila magkaparehas ng radicand, and at the same time, hindi din sila magkaparehas ng indices. So same sa number 4, ang gagawin natin una is that we're going to transform them into an expressions with rational exponents. Okay. So si cube root of 5 becomes 5 raised to the power of 1/3. Right? Times 4 raised to the power of 1/4. And after that one, we're going to get the LCD of 3 and 4. So we make sure na magiging similar fraction sila. So 5 times 4. So yung LCD ng 3 at saka 4 is 12, right? So 12 divided by 3 is 4 times 1. You will have 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3 times 1. You will have 3. So in this case, magkaparehas na sila ng denominator. So yung denominator nila represents our index. So pwede na natin silang pag-isahin. So we will have the 12th root. So we will have the 12th root of 5 raised to 4 times 4 cubed. Okay? And after that one, titingnan natin kung pwede pa natin masimplify. So sa loob ng radical sign natin, pwede natin masimplify si 5 raised to 4 at saka si 4 cubed. So 5 raised to 4, that would be equal to 625 times 4 cubed naman, that would be equal to 64. Then finally, i-multiply lang natin yung nasa loob ng radicand natin. So we have 625 times 64, that is equal to 40,000. So ito na yung final answer natin, the 12th root of 40,000. And for our last operation, we have the division of radicals. To divide radical of the same order, use the law of radical. So we have the nth root of a over b is equal to the nth root of a over the nth root of b. Then rationalize the denominator if necessary. And to divide radical of different orders, it is necessary to express them as radical with the same order. Okay, example number 1. We have the square root of 12 divided by the square root of 7. So using the law of radicals, we can divide automatically the numerator by the denominator. But as we can see, we cannot divide or simplify anymore 2 and 7. So since ito na yung lowest term nila, all we need to do is to rationalize the given. So ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng rationalize? When we say rationalize, we make sure na wala ng radical sign sa denominator. So how are we going to do that? We have square root of 2 over square root of 7 times square root of 7 over square root of 7. So kung ano man yung given na radical sa denominator, yun yung imumultiply natin sa numerator and denominator para matanggal natin yung radical expression sa denominator. Okay. So square root of 2 times square root of 7. So multiply natin siya directly. We will have square root of 14. Now how about sa denominator? Square root of 7 times square root of 7. We have square root of 49. Then, pwede pa natin masimplify yung denominator natin kasi perfect square na to siya. So square root of 49, we will have 7. Therefore, this would be our final answer. Square root of 14 over 7. Now take note, aside from multiplying this one directly and getting the perfect square which is 49, pwede rin natin siyang gawing square root of 7 squared. Right? Kasi ibig sabihin nito, yung square root of 7 multiply sa kanyang sarili. So, since we have also the law of radicals, if the index of the given radical expression to the exponent equal to its index, then we can cancel this one out. So, matitira na lang is 7. So, similar pa rin yung magiging sagot natin, which is 7. Now, how about number 2? We have the square root of 121 over 36. So again, i-try muna natin i-divide yung dalawa. 121 divided by 36, hindi tayo makakuha ng integer na sagot. So let's try getting the square roots of the numerator and the denominator. So, solve natin sila separately. We have square root of 121, that would be equal to 11. And the square root of 36, that would be equal to 6. So since this is the lowest term, therefore this would be automatically our final answer. Moving on, we have the square root of 225 over 5. So kung mapapansin nyo, iba-iba yung steps na ginawa natin. So first and foremost, titingnan mo muna kung pwede nyo silang ma-divide. So kung hindi natin sila pwedeng ma-divide, baka pwede natin ma-extract yung square root ng numerator and denominator separately. And after that one, pag nakuha natin simplest form, then that would be the final answer. But then again, pag hindi natin ma-extract yung numerator and denominator nila, then we can use rationalization. Ibig sabihin, we're going to rationalize yung denominator natin. So, let's have this one. 225 divided by 5. So, 225 divided by 5, that would be equal to 45. So, since magkakaiba yung mga steps natin, yung last step natin is to make sure na yung answer natin is nasa simplest form. So, titignan natin yung 45, may factors pa si 45, o pwede pa natin siyang ma-express as product of two factors. So, we have the square root of 9 times 5, in which yung first factor niya is a perfect square. So, i-extract lang natin si 9, it will become 3. Okay, the square root of 9 is 3. Then, magre-remain si 5 sa loob ng radical sign. So, the final answer is 3 square root of 5. And lastly, we have square root of 15 divided by square root of 12. So, we cannot divide automatically or directly 15 by 12. So, titignan natin kung pwede ba natin silang ma-extract. Sa square root of 15, wala nang ibang factors aside from 15 and 1. So, it will remain 15. Sa 12 naman, may factor siya na 4 and 3, or 4 times 3. Then, pwede natin i-simplify. Square root of 15 over square root of 4 is 2. Then, natitira si 3 sa loob ng radical sign natin. However, this is not yet the final answer kasi nga, gusto natin na walang radical expression na makikita sa denominator. So if this is the case, we make sure na walang radical expression sa baba. So, i-multiply natin both the numerator and the denominator by the radical expression na nasa denominator. So, square root of 15 times square root of 3. And sa baba naman, sa denominator, we have 2 square root of 3 times square root of 3. So, pwede natin silang i-multiply directly kasi same sila ng indices. 15 times 3, that is equal to 45 or square root of 45. And 2 square root of 3 times square root of 3, we will have 2 square root of 9. Pwede rin natin siyang diretsuin na lang ng 3. Kaya nang binanggit ko kanina. So we have square root of 45 times square root of 45 divided by 2 times 3. Okay? So you will have square root of 45 over 6. So yung square root of 45, pwede pa natin masimplify. We have 9 times 5. And sa denominator naman, we have 6. Okay? Dito pala ilalagay sa baba. Square root of 9 is 3. And we can still simplify the numerical coefficient na 3 at yung denominator natin na 6. Pwede natin siyang i-lowest term. So, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Therefore, the final answer is square root of 5 over 2. Now it's your turn. Try to answer the following questions. And that's a wrap. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Sir Ninyo. And you can also post your math problems in the comment section. And we will do our very best to provide solution to your questions. Because remember, every problem has a solution. At kung math ang problema ninyo, ako ang kaagapay ninyo, ako ang Sir Ninyo.